Top 8 countries with the strongest economies. Did you know that collectively, the world's largest economies, the United States, China, Japan, Germany, and India, make up for more than half the entire world's GDP? They account for as much as 55%. According to NASDAQ, 78% of the global GDP, or a total of $86.31 trillion, is made up of only 16 countries. So, with hundreds of countries around the world, it's no question why some economies fare better than others. Does your country belong to the world's best economies? Are you ready? Because today we will talk about the top 8 countries with the strongest economies. Basically, we can determine a country's overall economic health based on their gross domestic product, or GDP. This refers to the total market value of all the goods and services that a country produces within a year. So, it comes as no surprise why a lot of the countries that are included in the list have a good manufacturing industry. So, which country has the best economy? We start with number 8. Number 8. Brazil. Before the pandemic, the country was enjoying unprecedented growth with a consistent 3.4% growth in its GDP. But with the coronavirus, the country is having a hard time coping with the increased number of cases. However, when all of this is over, experts believe that Brazil can bounce back with a bigger 7.5% growth. In 2019, the country lists a huge $2 trillion in GDP. Number 7. France. At $2.9 trillion, France also faces huge uncertainty, as a whopping 70% relies on the service sector. Aside from this, the country also leads in terms of automotive and railway. Number 6. United Kingdom. With a $3.2 trillion GDP, the country's growth has also slowed down. In fact, back from 1999 to 2008, the UK was enjoying a 2.8% growth. The country's economy is also expected to downgrade given the impact of the coronavirus, as well as the added pressure from the Brexit. Its effects include a fall of private consumption, as well as a dampening of fixed investments. Number 5. India. Coming in at number 5, India is considered as a bright spot in the global economy. However, the country had experienced a downgrade with conflicts and issues from within. The added stress includes the non-bank financial sector, decline in credit growth, cooling private consumption, slowing industrial activity, and stagnant investments. While the country is taking aggressive steps to resolve its issues, there's still a lot more that the government had to work on to revive its economy. This includes labor reforms and structure to ensure that India remains on top of the global supply chain. Number 4. Germany. While it ranks 4th in terms of world GDP, Germany is considered as the largest and strongest economy in Europe. However, experts are getting worried since approximately 47.4% of its GDP is dependent on the export of goods and services. This means that the country is vulnerable to external shocks, just as what had happened back in the 2008 economic recession. Number 3. Japan. With an estimated $5.2 trillion, Japan ranks 3rd in terms of GDP. The country had an expansive growth after the Second World War and continued until the 1990s. However, in the past decade, Japan's growth has seemed to stagnate. One factor that we can look into is its aging population. In fact, 20% of the population is over 65 years old, making labor much more expensive. Number 2. China. Our runner-up, China continues to grow at a dizzying pace. However, with the onset of the virus, the Chinese economy suffered a lot, especially since the government had issued a mandatory economic lockdown on some of the businesses and factories. In terms of GDP, China made a whopping $14.14 trillion in 2019. It's so big that its GDP accounts for more than 16% of the global economy. However, they also rank in terms of spending. In fact, if you're going to take in China's purchasing power parity, It's the largest economy with a GDP of $27.31 trillion. While they are second on our list, it won't be for long. In fact, economists predicted that the gap is expected to reduce to around $4.5 trillion in 2024. Number 1. The United States. In the past years, the US had enjoyed massive career growth. In fact, in 2019, before the chaos that is the coronavirus had happened, the US had expected to exceed a whopping $21 trillion. That's because while most manufacturing companies are based in China, the US service sector, which accounts for 80% of the country's GDP, is still more technologically sophisticated and much more developed than China. These include firms that offer financial, technological, retail, and health services. However, with over 40 million unemployment claims, we would like to see how America can bounce back. Do you think that China can keep up with the US in the next 10 years? Which economies do you also expect to rise? Let us know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell button for more notifications.